Hello everybody, welcome back. Today's section is going to be on Chapter 8, Section 6, Factoring ax squared plus bx plus c. Ax, that form right there, that is the standard form of a quadratic equation. So, yeah, we're getting into quadratics today. So, the variables a, b, and c, these are all just numbers. So any number. Okay. So A, B, and C are just numbers, and our x's here, those are just variables. Okay, so they can be any lowercase letter we want. Okay, so standard form of quadratic equation here. All right, let's take a look at this example here. So before we even get into factoring this, we need to know where each part is located. So if we go back to that form, a here we go. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So if we go to that form, we need to figure out first what a equals, what b equals, and what c equals. All right. So if we look at a is this coefficient here that is in front of the x, and since there is none there, okay, our coefficient is going to be 1. So a is 1. Okay. If we look at b, okay, where does b fall in our quadratic formula? Okay, it's right here, right? So it's the middle term in front of the x. So in this case, okay, it's going to be that negative 13. Okay, that's going to be our b. Then if we look at c, oh, I did that. C, okay, if we look at c, c is over here. It's the last number over here. All right. So in this case, c is just going to be 30. Okay, so it's essential that we know where each part, A, B, and C, where they are located in the expression. All right, let's take a look at some examples here. So factoring each expression completely. Okay, the easiest way to do it is the X method, or some people also call it the diamond method. Okay, and basically what it consists of is just drawing an X. Okay, draw an X here, and let's go ahead, before we get into the X method, let's go ahead and label each part of our expression here. All right, so A is the coefficient that's in front of the X, and of course there's nothing there, but it's implied that it's a 1, so A equals 1. Okay, this is the example just from earlier in this video, so we know that B, right here in the middle, okay, is negative 13. Okay, and last but not least, C. Okay, C is the last number over here, so C is equal to 30. Okay, so once we have identified each part of that expression, A, B, and C, now we can go to our X method, or our diamond method, as some people call it. Okay, so what the diamond method is going to have us do is find factors of our expression here. So up here at the top, hey, we're going to take A times C. A times C. I know it's kind of a terrible A, so let me redo that. A times C. Okay. So if we go ahead and do that, so take our value of A that we found. So value of A, which is 1. Okay, so 1 times, okay, C, which is 30. A times C, 1 times, why is my thing doing that? Okay, Here we go. 1 times 30. Hey, 1 times 30 is 30. Okay. So now on the bottom part, you're going to be looking for b. Okay. B we said was negative 13. Okay. So now what we're going to do is whatever you found up here in your a times c part. Okay, so our answer that we came up with there was 30. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at that number 30, okay, and we're going to identify factors of 30 that have a sum of b, negative 13. All right, so first of all, we need to list those factors of 30. Okay, so let's start with, okay, obviously 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10. Is that going to work? That one would work. Let's just go ahead and finish it off though. 5 and 6. Okay, so what we're going to ask ourselves now is whichever group of factors that we decide to choose, it needs to come up to a total of negative 13. And I already just circled it on accident, but hey, if I have both of my signs were negative, so if this were a negative 3 and a negative 10, negative 3 minus 10 is going to give me a sum of my negative 13 that I want. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to pick that set of factors. So 3 and 10 is what we're going to use. Okay, and just like I said earlier, both my signs need to be negative. Okay, so a negative 3 and a negative 10 is going to equal whatever b is down here at the bottom, negative 13. Alright, so now, okay, our original expression over here was x squared minus 13x plus 30. Hey, now essentially what we're doing is we're basically working backwards from where we started in this chapter. Okay, so from our original expression here, we're going to break this down into two sets of parentheses. We're going to factor that expression. Okay, so the whole reason that we do the x method here is to come up with those two factors, okay, that are going to equal our b, our negative 13 here. Right, and we said that we were going to use negative 3 and negative 10 as our factors. Okay, so what we do, okay, we look for whatever variable is being used. In this case, it is x. Okay, so we're going to simply put x here and x here in the parentheses. Now, go back to our x method here. And figure out which factors we use. So we use negative 3 and negative 10, right? So we're going to put negative 3 here and negative 10 over here. Okay. Now, if you have been watching any of my videos at all, okay, we know that we can do what with that expression? Okay, we can FOIL it. Okay, so we can FOIL to check. So let's go ahead and do that. X times x is going to give me x squared. Okay, outside now, so x times negative 10 is going to be minus 10x. Inside, negative 3x plus 30. Okay, so if I combine those like terms, I get x squared plus oh, oops. I see what I did. Negative 10x minus 3x is negative 13x. You gotta watch your signs. I about messed up. And then plus 30. Okay, so if you'll notice, hey, once we FOIL our answer to check it, hey, we get exactly what we started with. Okay, so our answer, whenever we factor something completely, is going to be this right here, this x minus 3 and x minus 10. All right, let's take a look at this example here. Okay, so obviously I can't pull out a GCF and I can't factor by grouping, so we're going to do exactly like the last example. We're going to use our x method to factor this out. Okay, so remember up here at the top we have a times c. Okay, in this case a is 1, okay, and c is 45, right? Now, remember our b is that middle term right here, so b is -4. Okay? So if we multiply a times c, we obviously get 45. Okay? So now we're looking for factors of 45, that add up to this b part, this -4. B is right there. Okay, so we're looking for factors of 45 that add up to -4. So 145 5 and 9. I think that's what we're looking for. So let's take a look at those. Okay, so we need factors of 45 that add up to -4. Okay, so if I were to use 5 and 9, what would my signs have to be? Well, one of them is going to have to be a positive and a negative, but we just have to figure out which ones. Okay, so obviously if we want it to be a -4, we want to be a -9 and a +5. Okay, so my factors I'm going to use are +5, and -9. Okay, so from here, what variable are we dealing with? We are dealing with b. Okay, so we're going to take our original expression and put it into two different sets of parentheses. Okay, so we're going to pick whatever variable we're dealing with. So b, okay, we're going to list those first. Okay, and now our two factors that we came up with. So +5 goes here, and -9 goes there. Okay, and that's all we have to do for that. Now, you could always go back and FOIL to check your work if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. B times b is going to be b squared. B times -9 is -9b. And then plus 5b minus 45. And once we combine our like terms here, that'll give us our -4b that we're wanting. Okay, here's some more practice using that diamond method or the X method, whichever way you want to call it. Okay, so here we have just two diamonds. Okay, let's work on this one here first. All right, so what we need to do, okay, just like before, we're looking for factors of a times c, okay, that equal a +4. Okay, so we're looking for factors of 3, which is just 1 and 3, that add up to +4. So my signs here both need to be +1 and +3. So +3, +1, doesn't matter what order they go in. Hey, and that's just some extra practice. You have some of those on your worksheet. Hey, let's try this one here really quick. All right, so we have a times c, so factors of 32 that add up to 12. Okay, so factors of 32, okay, let's go ahead and do those. 32 and 1, 2 and 16, 4 and 8. I think that's our ticket. Yes, 4 and 8. All right, so we want our signs to be +4 and +8. Okay. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Other than that, stay safe. Hope things are going well, and go Braves.